have now these two, action items for our list. So we have to work on the principles of the organizational structure, and we have to work on the format we are working together. What should we do first?
Sorry, say again what the two...
What should we do first?
What's the first action?
Well, what's the first action item on our list to tackle? Or do we have to tackle both simultaneously?
So what were the two?
The
I missed you completely.
organizational structure, that you referred to and you talked about,
Yeah.
and the new, all the way of thinking, and then changing also the organizational structure at the end. So, is there an order?
Apologies for not being attentive. Oop, I'm on. Good. For me, as I said, the organizational structure, the company needs to change structurally, but you don't have to change the organizational structure, I believe. There may be good business reasons why you maybe have to reorganize teams differently because of the product, but for me, it's actually more to do with the mindset and culture change. That's the most important thing, to actually get your organization and your employees to think differently about the way you do business, rather than to change the structure.
Okay, maybe changing the structure was the wrong term in this sense. So changing the enablement of the performance of this organization. So because so far the enablement was the hierarchical order, law and order, and now we give them digital tools to enable them to get more performance. What should we do first? Change this first and enable them first, or also change the culture and the leadership format first? Or do it both together?
I think you answered that.
I'm just going to amplify it with one thing, which is that obviously we now live in a world where, just like in the external world, you've lost control of your brand, and with social media, your customers are actually helping define your brand in a way that didn't happen before. And it's that same thing inside the organization, where we're now allowing everyone in the organization to communicate in a different way, and so different people will emerge. But some people won't know how to use these new tools. Some people won't be comfortable with it. So I think one of the most important things is to make sure that everybody in the organisation understands what the rules are, understands what the behaviours are required, understands how they can contribute, understands what they can do positively, understand what they can do negatively. And there will be different ways that might work. I mean, the lady whose name I've forgotten yesterday, who had a very kind of prescriptive approach to the way that works, that obviously works for their Swiss culture, and that may not work in other organisations. But the important thing is make sure everyone knows what the rules are, so that they can contribute and what power they've got to contribute.
Johan.
I agree.
I think you both have.
We have microphones.
Oh, of course we have. Yeah, that's how we don't need. Sorry. Which is why it's. Sorry, guys.
I think if you can do things flying under the radar with this model, so you don't wake up the chimpanzee. People in the old structure, so to say, in the old thinking, will be more safe if people start working and it actually contributes to business. Then you need to do, when you have, a corporation always is. And there's changing powers and there are stopping powers. We thought in the old days that we could increase the powers of change. And then it started moving. Well, what we now know about the brain is they're only going to be like middle management that we often forget. They will cling on to the old stuff. And they have the power to do so. So they can stop, a lot of changes have been stopped by middle management. So you actually have to convince these guys. Or put seeds of doubt. Is this really the way to do car models in 15 years from now? Or should we involve, like Google does, this is the basis of the car, how should it look inside?
But we're talking about this need of change already since years now. So certainly not all companies have started to tackle it, but a lot of have started and they didn't really advance. So what are the real problems? Why are we not moving forward?
For me, it's because there's an expression in the UK about putting lipstick on a pig. and we're actually kind of putting these new tools over the top of what we're doing, rather than actually embedding them in the heart of it. So for me, there are too many instances where the thing hasn't been thought through and hasn't been started by the top management in the company. So in every organisation, you get that old-style business as usual, knowledge is power thinking, and that has to change. And I mean, if you don't do anything actively to change that, those people will die out anyway, because the people who are going to be successful are the ones that actually employ the new way of thinking and the new way of working. Those are the ones that are going to succeed. Those are the ones that are going to get further in the organisation. So, but it's actually much better to actively encourage the right kind of behaviours, yes, and make every level of the organisation realise that open knowledge, open collaboration is the best way to go. The Grundfos example that I used, that's what they've tried to do every level in their 45,000 person company.
But also the Grundfos example is a good example, because also they started really the change at the moment they realized that they are competitive around the corner that are hurting. So
exactly.
Do we need this point first?
Well, and I think for me it's a given. It's like I started at the start of my thing. Basically, your business model is under threat. Doesn't matter who you are, someone is after you. Even if you're Apple.
This is very theoretical at this point of point of moment. So if the CEO is not really feeling this hurt.
Yeah. Let me take an example. When I arrived at the airport, I cannot pay my ticket for the train, because normally when you're traveling, you have bills, paper money, not coins, and the coins have to be. Well, they probably don't have to be exact. What if Apple steps in? You can pay on our phone. Banks should be really concerned. Facebook and Apple, it's only a legal thing. They can take over that whole business. In Sweden, we see that happening. When I'm selling this book, it's not going through the banks. I'm not even doing any bills, sending out bills. It's through iSettle. It's a small machine, and it's an app on the iPad, and it's brilliant, and it's fast. And they have my customers get the receipts immediately.
I think the key thing here is that if you go back through the last couple of decades, you can pick out organisations that have been slow to recognise change. Even big organisations, whether it's Kodak. Whether it's Blockbuster with movies, whether it's Nokia with the smartphone, Nokia was brilliantly placed. The number one had all of the ingredients, but they got someone did an end run around them called Apple. So I think it doesn't matter where you are in the overall scheme of things, your mindset should be, I have to challenge myself, I have to compete with myself, I have to actually advance my business model all the time. And I think the CEOs that don't recognise that won't be CEOs for long.
They won't, yes, but that's an outside view. So a lot of people are in the inside, and they're feeling that we have to move on, but maybe the top management is not feeling the hurt. So I think that's always the problem. So how can we feel them more the hurt? So
I think it's back to a business case. It's back to that Capgemini study that I mentioned, and the Gartner study, which actually says, hey, the organisations that are doing this are actually increasing their profits faster and increasing their value faster than the average. So this kind of behaviour is good for business, and it's that kind of thing that you have to put into the CEO's mind. Because you're right, there are traditional old-style CEOs out there, and we have to actually convince them. And the only way we're going to convince them is with facts and figures, real bottom-line facts and figures.
And if you're top management, you have to be checking the flow. I met some senior vice presidents of Volvo, and one of them moved his desk from the senior vice president meetings on future processes, which brings no money and no value to customers today, but he has his desk now in the flow of consumer parts, so he can see from day to day what's going wrong. And the brain reaction from all people is the normal when you start doing lean. Who is he after? And why is that question? Because that's the culture we used to have. We were looking for scapegoats. He's not doing that. He's looking for a good flow. And he's asking people, do you see anywhere where there is not good flow? Tell me, and let's work on it. That's the new leadership.
Just a quick example. I did a workshop at a technology company last week called Rackspace. Anyone heard of Rackspace? Anyway, 5,000 person company. Every employee's got a flag over the top of their desk to show which country they're from. There are no offices. So managers and the CEO sit amongst the people, and actually they move around every couple of months. They actually move to a different place, so they're seeing different people. So it's a hierarchically structured organisation, but they've got behaviours in place to make sure that the managers have direct contact, and they don't have doors between them and the employees. It's those kind of things that we need to put in place in our organisations.
So what do you think? Because I think this whole movement of this transformation is also relying or relating on some kind of tipping point. When enough companies are hurted and are changing. So when do you think we're reaching this tipping point?
The rate of change is different in organisations. There are some organisations that are very far advanced, and a lot that are very behind. So I think we're getting closer to a tipping point, and my gut feel is that if you look at the press, I mean, it's why we started our company. It's because we actually felt, although we've actually been talking about this for years, this is not too different from when I came to Köln before in terms of what we're talking about. But we actually feel that now, when you look at the big consulting organisations, the big companies, there are more people talking about this. So I think we're 2 or 3 years. This will be, mainstream talk in the average business, but we're not there yet.
Great. Are there any more questions? Thank you both.
Thank you so much.
You're still around.
Thank you.
Thank you.